Guys, MJZ Reviews here, and here is my manga collection. I decided to do this video because recently my rate of collecting manga has decreased rapidly, and I think this is as big as my collection is going to get, and I think it is already pretty big. And if you haven't noticed already, there are volumes in French and Japanese, so that makes this collection very different from the other ones you'll see on YouTube, well, at least the English ones. And yeah, so it has differed since the last time I did my video, which you can my manga collection video, which you can check at any time on my channel. It's my first video which I did, and yeah, so this will be about how as big as my manga collection is going to get. So let's just hop into it quickly. So first off, we have Deadman Wonderland 1 to 13. Very gritty, very bloody, but a very good story at the same time, and set in a very unique location which you won't see in any other anime or manga. So I would recommend picking this up if you're a fan of a series like Tokyo Ghoul, which I'm going to move on to next. Volumes 1 through 14. That is the full Tokyo Ghoul. If you've just watched the anime, I'd definitely recommend watching the manga because near the end it does differ a lot, and if you want to watch a new anime of Tokyo Ghoul you definitely need to check out the manga. Then there's these 2 volumes of Tokyo Ghoul 1 and 2. Yeah, these are in French. I think there's 1 and 2 released in English if you want to check that out. And yeah, Tokyo Ghoul is full of mystery, but it is still really good and enjoyable, and the art's just getting better and better. That leads me on to One Punch Man, volumes 1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, I missed out some volumes, but I'm kind of on and off this series. I'm just really waiting for the season 2 of the anime, and but even though the manga is really great and really well drawn, but the anime, just the voice acting and everything just makes it too good. But no disrespect to the manga, which is magnificent in itself. Then there's Soul Eater, volumes 1 through 8. Yeah, I read this first volume ages ago, like years ago, and then a few years later, I read 2 to 8, which were really enjoyable to read. But I don't know, I was at a point where I didn't have much money to spend on manga, and I needed to drop a few series, so I decided to drop Soul Eater because in the end it is very shonen-y, and some characters are very cut and paste, except for maybe these 2 there, but yeah, that's it. Next is, if it auto focuses, my favourite series, One Piece, and if you are a fan of anime or manga and you haven't read One Piece, you should be questioning what your life is about at the moment. Yeah, it is just so good, full of action, full of emotion, and it's definitely, the art's beautiful as well. Definitely, in my opinion, the best manga ever written, even though, yes, it is victim to tropes and cliches. It's just the emotion that you get, especially at the end of an arc. It's just very empowering, and it's just a really good manga. These first 2 volumes are in Japanese. Sorry, not the first 2 volumes. This first volume is in Japanese. Then there's volume 84, which is also in Japanese, which my mum got in Japan when she went to visit there without me. Then there's 1 to 6 in these omnibus editions, which are cost effective, but the page quality isn't that good. But if you want to read One Piece and not spend too much money, I'd recommend these omnibus editions. Then there's 7 and 8 in French. Don't know why I got them. I just wanted to. There's a pop figure for Chopper, pop figure for Law. Then there's 9 till 12, and then I did watch the anime mostly for One Piece. I don't anymore, but 21 till 46, which you can get in that big box set up there. And then, yeah, and then it's just 57, 58, 59, 61, and then 62 to 67 in French, 77, 78, and 79 to 85. 84 is in French, and 85 is for €1 extra. You could get the 20 years edition, which is basically just has a different drawing of Luffy and it's kind of like gold feel and gold color. Yeah, for €1 extra, and it wasn't really worth it, but I'm a massive One Piece fan, so I decided to get it. Then there's these magazines which were released during the 20th anniversary as well. Yeah, it's just there's not 3 of these in the world, but I want to say there's 3 editions of this. This is 3 of 3, and my mum got this in Japan also, and it's got this really nice kind of sketch artwork in front, and it's got tons of, even though it's in Japanese, tons of cool One Piece related stuff. And you can get this online, I think. I don't know the shops, but yeah, and you also get nice posters and stuff like that. Then there's a Naruto art book, and then there's Naruto, which is a mix of volumes, let's say. Naruto was my second manga ever, and I really enjoyed it as a kid, and it's really good, especially that first half of it. I would still watch today, but it kind of loses its way after the pain fight, where the villains change all the time, and the characters get a little too powerful compared to the ninja kind of mind game battles which they had at the start of the series, and it kind of loses what it once was, and it becomes a Dragon Ball Z copy sort of thing at the end. And then there's Boruto, which I just wouldn't recommend to anyone because it's just trying to milk Naruto for the money. And even though I've got respect for the guy who's drawing it, because obviously he's drawing a very well drawn manga, but still, you shouldn't be milking a series. It should have ended at volume 72. A good ending with not too many debates on, except if you ship people, and yeah, but still, especially that first half of Naruto, which I don't have much out of in the manga, it's just really good to read, and the art, especially at the start, is really unique, and at the end, the art just gets worse and worse, but it's still quite good. And yes, a few figures there. So that's Naruto. If you're a first-time manga collector or first-time manga reader in general, I would definitely recommend Naruto. So here is where things kind of get mixed up with French and Japanese and stuff and English. So then firstly, there's these 2 JoJo omnibus volumes. Or the JoJoniums for parts 2 and 3, which you can get. And then parts 4 to 8 aren't translated in English, which is a huge shame because they are some of the best mangas ever written. Part 4, when I was watching the anime, I got this volume when the anime were on, where about this volume started. So I got this to 16. It actually goes up to 18 because, but actually, the anime was releasing faster than the French volumes were. So, because they released part 4 after all the other parts for some reason. So it was. So I kind of got a bit impatient to just watch the anime for the last 2 volumes, and then there's this cool Josuke figures. Even though his face is a little bit messed up. If you didn't know, I can speak French. That's why I have French volumes. And then there's Arslan Senki, or just Arslan, or the heroic legend of Arslan. These are quite good to read. Quite complicated story. But I don't know. Again, I was a bit low on money, and I needed to drop a few series, and I decided to drop Arslan. Even though I think I am going to come back to it one day. And there's this black edition of Death Note, which is just nice, and it's got the black kind of top as well. Then there's JoJo Part 5, Golden Wind, of Vento Oreo, volumes 1-17. It's got a nice spine, even though for some reason 1 has a different spine to the rest. It's one of the weaker parts of JoJo, but if you just want pure fun and battles, this will probably be your favourite part. And if you like kind of like Italian culture and the landscape and the food, there's lots of it in this part. And this part's probably behind Stardust Crusaders, the most popular game. I mean, not game. There is a game for it. Most popular part in Japan, because they like Giorno. And even though at the end, the powers do get a little bit out of hand, it's still got a solid ending. And there is a very a character which you may like from part 3 who does return later on. I'm not going to tell who it is. Then there's this cool Sanji figure, and he lost his cigarette for some reason. Trigun volume, and then, which I haven't finished, from 2016 actually, and the Gantz volume, which I am planning to collect more of, and it's very bloody and violent, and don't read it if you're like under 16. Next is JoJo Part 6 Stone Ocean, volumes 1 through 17. One of the best parts of JoJo, in my opinion. Quite a complex storyline, and the villain has very weird goals, let's say. Poochie, I'm not going to point out who he is. And also there's Jolene, who is probably one of the best JoJo's, very well written, and seems like quite a realistic character compared to some of the other JoJo characters. There's Manga in Theory and Practice, which if you are an aspiring manga author, or just you're interested in storytelling, or if you're just interested in Hiriko Araki, I'd recommend buying at once because it's a really fun read. And there's also a few pages from JoJo's and Araki's previous work. Then this is probably one of my favourite parts of my collection are the Shonen Jump volumes, which I got in Dubai, because there's this big bookstore which sells books and magazines from all over the world in Dubai, in the Dubai Mall. And this is a recent volume of Shonen Jump, which is the start of the Luffy versus Katakuri fight. And yeah, it's just really fun to flick through this sometimes. Page quality isn't great, but still, it's really nice. And if you didn't know, this is where every chapter of the big shonen manga gets released every week, well, almost every week. Then there's these two, which are reprints of very old Shonen Jump editions. This is from 1991, I think, with the Goku and Frieza fight, which has one of the most iconic chapters in Shonen history. And it's really fun to read and flick through. Also has a few chapters from Stardust Crusaders in there in Japanese. And it's really cool to see what it's like originally. And then there's this, which is has the last chapter of the first part of Fist of the North Star, if you've read the manga. And yeah, what a really good chapter that was. And it's got some classics in there as well. And it's just really cool to have. They're not from 1986 or 1991, but they are reprints. But they were really cheap, so I decided to get them because I'm a Shonen fanboy. Next is JoJo's Part 7, which is probably in the top 5 manga ever written. Well, at least according to my anime list. And it's the art, the action, the emotion, the adventure, the drawing, and the conclusion, and the characters. Just everything about it is great. Probably its only weakness will be the first 5 volumes. It kind of drags a bit, but it does get, after that 5th volume, it gets really good, and the characters just get better and better, and the stands get weirder and weirder in JoJo fashion, and that is just a really good part. And if you consider yourself to be a fan of anime or manga and you haven't read this, I know it's not released in in English, but the only way to read it is online. But still, I would still recommend reading it. And then there's this Sanji figure, which has just collapsed. JoJolion volumes 1 to 7. Again, a very strong part of JoJo with a lot of mystery and it's mainly focused on mystery, to be honest. And Josuke, the new kind of protagonist, is a really good protagonist, and it's just one of the better, stronger parts of JoJo, and I cannot wait for the next volume. So this is going to be the end of part 1 of my updated manga collection. So please tune into the next part where we have even better volumes coming your way.